The government has declared a national state of emergency due to the threat from Covid-19, giving police and other state agencies sweeping powers to enforce lockdown and stop its spread. There are 50 new cases of the virus today, bringing the total in New Zealand to 205 so far. Civil Defence Emergency Management Director Sarah Stewart-Black has told a media conference the country was put under a state of emergency at 12:21 this afternoon, ahead of the move to alert Level 4 tonight at 1 minute to midnight.
The state of national emergency has been declared because of the unprecedented nature of this global pandemic and to ensure the government has all the powers it needs to slow the spread of Covid-19 and reduce its impact. This allows me, in my statutory role as the Director of Civil Defence Emergency Management, to direct and coordinate personnel, material and other resources to ensure they can be made available.
Ms Stewart-Black says the police and other agencies have also been granted extraordinary powers to contain the virus.
Some examples are powers of requisition to manage wider consequences, for example, providing for the conservation and supply of fuel and other essential supplies, closing of roads, stopping people doing activities that may contribute to the emergency, excluding people from places, prohibiting or regulating traffic.
Sarah Stewart-Black says police will have the power to bring in military reinforcements if required.
We're really hoping that actually people have heard the messages and understand how horrendous this could get. We don't want thousands of people to die. It is that plain and simple. So if we're asking for people to stay home and really plead that message about self-isolation, this is for the good of everyone. If we can each imagine that we want to keep ourselves and those around us safe, let's act in that ability. But what I would say is there will equally be no tolerance for people who do not comply with the requirement to self-isolate to keep New Zealand safe.
The Director-General of Health, Dr Ashley Bloomfield, says the 50 new cases today bring the total number to 205. 6 people are in hospital, 3 in Wellington, 1 in Rotorua and 2 in Waikato. But all are stable and none are in intensive care. Dr Bloomfield warns it is going to get worse before it gets better, with more suspected cases of community transmission on top of the 4 already confirmed.
Even as we go into alert level 4, we will continue to see a rise in cases for at least 10 days. That is because the infections we are finding today and over the coming week to 10 days are people who have been infected before today. So the numbers will continue to increase before they turn around. That turnaround will happen if all New Zealanders do what is being asked of them. That is, to stay at home, to break the chain and save lives.
Dr Bloomfield says hospitals and GP clinics have enough masks and PPE, that is personal protective equipment, and the Ministry is also working to get them to other frontline workers.
This is not something that's usually done in the normal situation, so we're working with DHBs. And what our intention is to do is to bring that into a national process. Of course, we will work with the DHBs because they are the organisations on the ground that have that PPE, and or we will arrange for direct distribution to a whole range of others like home and support, community support workers, pharmacies and so on. Separately, there will be a process for distributing masks to essential workers who have contact with people, for example, in supermarkets or other places.
Deputy Chief Executive at the Ministry for Business, Innovation and Employment, Paul Stocks, says officials are urgently working through options for getting people the services they need while in isolation.
The primary purpose here is to support safe and effective self-isolation. So there will be some instances that we're considering, for example, where essential whiteware, like a fridge or a washing machine, needs to be replaced. We want to find a way to ensure that people have access to that. Books don't fall into that category, but we are working that through now. Anything that we do in that instance will be done in a way where, if at all possible, we have contactless delivery, and as I say, we're just working through that this afternoon.
Civil Defence Emergency Management Director Sarah Stewart-Black says the move to Level 4 is significant and people need to take heed of the clear advice they have been given in recent days.
So it's also just taking a bit of a breath, that we're just talking about hanging out at home, you know, and you've still got a TV and you've still got access to the water out of the tap and you've got the things in your cupboard, that actually we can just work through this step by step. And I think there's a reassurance here that, yes, those powers are there if we need them, but for most New Zealanders, they're going to stay at home because that's the safest place to be.
And Civil Defence will be issuing a nationwide emergency mobile alert between 6 and 7 o'clock tonight to reinforce to New Zealanders the critical message to stay home.